What's going on, everybody? Brett here. We're back playing some more Total War Warhammer 2, the multiplayer community. Today's going to be at 2v2. I recorded a couple of these. I've got some really fun ones coming at you. Today I'm going to be playing as the Vampire Coast. My ally is the Beastmen, and we're up against a double Lizardmen army. I think these are two Krotgars, if I remember correctly. And it was a wild one. It was pretty wild. You can see here I'm bringing the artillery, and I felt like that was going to be necessary, very necessary on this map and versus double Lizardman army. I had to assume that they were going to have some pretty ridiculous numbers of dinosaurs, single target entities, and they did not disappoint. And I'm going to need to go over a little bit some of the army comps so that what happens next makes a heck of a lot of sense. Okay, so against the dinosaurs, you cannot go wrong with just spamming out tons and tons of the zombie pirate deckhand mobs with polearms. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them kind of encircling my formation. I also have a single unit, the Tide of Skjold. I like these guys. They're a regiment of renown. They're pretty tough to break. They have immune psychology. They cause fear. They have frenzy to give them a little extra punch and damage, and rowdy for leadership plus vigor. So they're pretty hard to crumble, and they stay fighting for a long time at top efficiency thanks to that vigor buff. I also have here, which I think are probably the key part of my army, I have the depth guard with polearms. So take a look at these dudes. They have their regen, the hunger. As long as they're engaged in melee, these dudes regenerate, and they're very difficult to take out. They also have frenzy, so increased weapon damage, charge bonus, melee attack, and they are going to be an excellent tool against the dinosaurs, against the Lizardmen. I also have here in the back, I have 2 units of mortars, so they're here to take out blobs of infantry. I like them as all-around choices. They're very cheap. Sometimes I'm tempted to go with the deck gunners for a bit more direct fire, but the mortars over a long period of time can generate a lot of value. I want to say they're already targeting these chameleon skinks. No kills yet, but my carronades here on the top of the high ground, you definitely want to have them on the highest point of any type of hill to give them the greatest field of fire that you can. And I have 3 of them, and they're going to be used primarily this battle to focus down any type of large target that I can get my hands on. And then a gunnery white here in the back is going to be reloading their ammunition and also buffing their reload speed with enchanted ballistic. So more accuracy, more reload skill, and that's going to translate into a lot more damage from my artillery. And then in the meantime, he's going to be taking pot shots with his old busted up rifle, and if he needs to, I can throw him into melee against certain types of dinosaurs. They certainly don't want to fight the carnosaurs. They'll rip him up. But against something like a Bastillodon or a Stegodon, the rotting Prometheans will do just fine. But out here on the flank, the person that I'm primarily targeting is going to be this Lizardman player here, Defenders. He's got Krotgar up on Grimlock, 2 Carnosaurs, feral ones. So they're easy to rampage if you start doing tons of damage to them. And I'm going to need to switch over my focus fire pretty quickly. As soon as I realize what a big threat these things are, I'm going to be trying to take them down as quick as possible. Some Saurus with shields in the front line. Standard Saurus warriors can beat down my units pretty dang effectively. They're actually a great counter to what I've got going on. Here goes a mortar, couple mortar rounds landing in and amongst the Saurus, hoping to soften them up before they can get to the front lines. But they can absolutely beat down my zombie pirate deckhand mobs with polearms. It's pretty much what they're made to do. And with their shields, they're going to be able to survive. If I had tons and tons of gunpowder units, they'd be great against that. Chameleon skinks are a little too close to the front lines, and they're taking some Ungor Raider fire somewhat unnecessarily. And with a little bit of help from my carronades, we're managing to take them down. They do have 40% missile resistance, so they're very good in a counter-skirmish scenario. And let's see, what else do we have here from this side? We have 2 units of Kroxigors, so they're very good against Depth Guard. Not necessarily against the polearm variant that I brought, but if I had brought the standard Depth Guard, they would be able to absolutely beat them down. We can check it out. They do have some missile resistance for as large as they are, so 15%, not bad. It's as if they kind of have little tiny shields strapped to them, but it's mostly just because they have that kind of scaly hide protecting them. They also have a Skink Priest, the Lore of Heavens, on top of an ancient Stegodon, so a very powerful kind of artillery piece. he's going to look to get into range, and he's going to need to be pretty close, and then it's going to be dropping those poison attacks. But you'll see here it's already losing HP, and that's because I've focused all my carronades on it. I don't want him to get off wind blasts or, you know, chain lightnings, another spell that he's taken on this. And it's such a large target that I should be able to crush it relatively easily. And here we go. Here's some of that fire from the Ancient Stegodon going off onto my deck droppers. I have two groups of these, one on each flank. And with their great armor-piercing missile damage, I'm going to use them to poke down different targets. Right now, they're sitting on top of Krotgar. And for those of you who've never seen them before, this unit is pretty awesome. They're giant bats holding zombies, shooting rifles. Ridiculous unit, right? But they're going to do a ton of damage to Krotgar. You can see here they already are. They're taking him down quite a bit. There's no healing on this side of the map. Krotgar just has Deadly Onslaught for increased armor piercing. And he also has Sacred Spawning of Zodal for that physical resistance and vigor, as well as Cold-Blooded to stop rampage on his Carnosaurs. But it's not what it used to be. It doesn't heal anymore, so it's really just a means of stopping that rampage. So like I said, I have one group on each flank, groups of two, and these are going to be used to poke down any other targets that come through this forest here. And we've managed to poke down the horned ones. So I've been sitting them on the horned ones. Let's see how many kills we got. 1 here, 0 here, but they've done a lot of damage, and they've been kind of instrumental in poking them down. And they're going to rampage into the front lines and get into these gore herds. The horned ones are actually pretty dangerous combatants. Really glad to get them off the field before the battle has really started. You'll see them charging into the gore herds. Even in this weakened state, they probably still demolish the gore herds. They have 100 armor, and their melee attack 47. Huge weapon strength of 60. So these Minotaurs should probably get committed here just to kind of stop their rampage. I've got Count Noctilus in the front here shooting. He's been helping to take out the Chameleon Skinks still. And as you know, the units kind of crest the hill, Count Noctilus will be taking different shots. He's got Invocation of the Heck for healing, Roth's Moondial for extra summons, and did I take any other really cool unique spells on him? I'm not sure. I probably was trying to cut costs. Drown Dead, of course, for summons. Pit of Shades, that's what it was. So I did take Pit of Shades as well as Wraith Storm for a little bit of damage as well. Always good to diversify your spells to a point. Alright, here we go. Krotgar, this is what I was kind of worried about. I'll go ahead and I put Wraith Storm on him to kind of amplify some of that damage he's taking from the deck droppers. I've made a bit of a flank denial here with all of my polearm units, which do have anti-large. It's not showing it, but I would hope that these dudes have charge defense against large. Let's actually see if we can check that out. Because without that, they're going to have a hard time stopping. Yeah, charge defense against large. It's not in their tooltip here, but it's important to know that they do have that, and that if Krotgar and them want to charge into them, they're not going to take any extra damage from that. Okay, so, oh my god, there's a Chain Lightning ripping into the front lines of my Beastman ally. Front line of Gore Herds. 1 Ungor Raider, some Minotaurs with great weapons sitting in the back, Gore Bull here, and Chaos Spawn being dropped thanks to Morgar the Shadowgave, going to be helping to hold down that flank. And then the Butchers of Kalkengard here. The Regiment of Renown, they cause terror, and they have regen. They're an extremely powerful unit. They have one other ability as well, Blood Greed. Pretty awesome buff here for Minotaurs, and they're going to be getting into a one-on-one with Kroxigors. That's a fight you don't get to see very often. Just watch them beat down each other. With a little bit of support from the Gore Herds, the Minotaurs should have no problem leading up this fight as the Saurus engage. I'm going to be pulling back Count Noctilus because I see here that the Defenders player wants to go straight for him with the Carnosaurs, and they get a ton of damage on him all of a sudden, and I am extremely worried. I pop Arcane Conduit. I'm going to be using an Invocation of the Heck to keep me alive here. Bringing in all of my anti-large that I possibly can. He almost goes down to 500 HP. And I'm going to pull him through all of my polearm units to try and keep him alive. I was not expecting my opponent to be that brave with Krotgar, because now I've got him tied up. I've got him tied up and tied down. I have layers and layers of these polearm units. And since I'm not under pressure from any other unit, I'm able to squeak away with Count Noctilus. Krotgar and one of these Feral Carnosaurs has been tied up. My Carronades have switched fire over to Krotgar. They're going to be bursting him down. My Gunnery White scuttles forward and looks to kind of pin down this Feral Carnosaur to give Count Noctilus more time to recover. They're extremely fast units. More Horn Ones, Cold One Spear Knights coming around the flanks. Going to be getting into my side, shutting down my carronades. But at this point, I'm blotting up around these units. I'm taking them down. This Pharaoh is going down. Krotgar was shot to pieces. The front line is crashing against the Beastmen line, and they're holding quite nicely. More Cold One Spear Riders getting into the back lines. And at this point, it's turning into just a blob with me spamming out upgraded invocations of Nehet. But Count Noctilus also has healing all his own whenever he's getting into melee. A big Raid Storm going off on this Pharaoh Bastillodon. I liked using it there because he was in and amongst his own infantry. There was a good chance for us to get more damage done. Here's the other Krotgar, not as impressive when he's sitting on top of, a cold one, but a huge artillery blast. I think that was Count Noctilus coming off and tearing into him. Racing with the Lore of Death, getting those Spirit Leeches off. The other Lizardmen player came around the flanks. He took tons and tons of Pharaoh Bastillodons. I can't say I hate that choice, but against the Beastmen player who took lots of Minotaurs with great weapons, this ended up being not the best choice. And then I have tons of anti-large units, armor-piercing units, and heavy armor-piercing artillery. And the Bastillodons are not going to be at their best against those types of units. And now that this Pharaoh Carnosaur wants to come in against Count Noctilus solo, he's going to have a good time fighting him. My Depth Guard are poking it from the back. They have huge weapon strength at 41%. It's all armor-piercing, anti-large bonus. And they're going to do a heck of a lot of damage to the Pharaoh Carnosaur. And we're going to be able to drive him off the battlefield. Meanwhile, my deck droppers are sitting on large targets, trying their best to shoot them to pieces, and doing a pretty good job. I've managed to get quite a few summons into the front line to help my Beastman player kind of shore up his units, because once his Gore Herds went, his Minotaurs ended up fighting on their own versus some of these Saurus Spheres, and there's 3 units of them here which have been absolutely devastated by the Minotaurs. But we were able to meet shield for them, and that ended up being one of our keys to success. Ooh, that was a wild one. That was a wild one. Let's take a look at the breakdown here. So Memes Gone Wrong, my ally, he did a great job. His Gore Bulls had to go one-on-one versus some very tough opponents. His Gore Herds got absolutely crushed, but at the end of the day, his Minotaurs were left fighting. Butchers of Kalkagard were in great shape, and Morgar was able to summon multiple Chaos Spawn to help him hold that front line, that forward position, so that ultimately my Carronades could do a heck of a lot of damage. This is a pretty uncharacteristically low number of kills on my artillery pieces, my deck droppers. All of my units got very low number of kills, but the thing was, they were focusing down such high priority targets that ultimately we were able to break the Lizardmen players. So Olympus here, with his very aggressive playstyle, had he, kind of focused with his buddy Kaiser here on just eliminating the Beastman threat in the front line, I would have had no support in the end. Sure, my cannons and my mortars would have had more chances to fire, but it would have been a 2v1 at that point. They could have easily, focused down Morgar just as easily with those Carnosaurs. I get that he saw an opportunity to take out Count Noctilus, and he almost did it. It was only the fact that my forces were held so high and tight, and that I had so much healing on Count Noctilus that I was able to pull that back. Had they been able to kill him right off the bat, the fight may have looked different. But as you can see, my units, not a lot of kills, but the kills they did get were very impactful. They were on Kroxigors, they were on Pharaoh Carnosaurs, Krotgar. We were able to focus down both iterations of Krotgar, as well as the Pharaoh Bastillodons. And then also Olympus's, where is it? Yeah, his Skink Priest, the Lore of Heavens, got taken out very early. 10 kills on a unit this expensive. If you just add up the gold from Krotgar, the Skink Priest, and these 2 Pharaoh Carnosaurs, which didn't get a chance to do very much, it's huge. It's a ton of gold invested into them. And a Skink Priest with the Lore of Heavens against a Vampire Coast army, and even a Beastman army with their Gore Herds and things, normally, a single Wing Blast or a Chain Lightning or something like that in and amongst a blobbed up formation, and you'll easily see 100, 150 kills on a unit like this. So prioritizing it, shutting it down early, I think was the right choice. And then Kaiser here with his huge, Bastillodon army mixed with the Cold One Spear Riders and the Horde ones, getting to dumpster one of these Horn One units right off the bat. I think was also pretty key. Getting that drop on them. The Cold One Spear Riders and the other Horn ones were thrown into my artillery, but in shutting down my artillery, he made these very expensive units vulnerable to my depth guard with polearms. So the mortars cost 600, the carronades I think cost 700, and the Horde ones cost, oh my god, how much do they cost? They're like 1,200, if not 1,400 for these units. They're extremely expensive. I don't remember exactly how much they cost off the top of my head. I feel like the prices have been adjusted a bit for Lizardmen Cav recently, but you also have to ask yourself sometimes, is the trade worth it, right? Am I going to get the value from this unit that I put into this unit? And sacrificing a very expensive unit like the Horn ones to attempt to take down, a mortar is not worth it when I'm going to be able to clean them up pretty nicely with the depth guard with polearms. So perhaps using them as a frontal charge unit and trying to do a bit of an envelopment with the Cold One Spear Riders, try and keep some of my units busy, keep my micro busy, push through with the Feral Bastillodons into the back line, cause as much chaos as possible, but meanwhile, try and use your infantry in conjunction with your allies' infantry to beat down the Beastmen player. And at the end of the day, you just would have had to focus me down with just a couple, whatever remaining units I had left. And I think that would have been a more winning strategy than going all in on some targets that may have looked vulnerable, but at the end of the day, were not all that vulnerable. So thank you to Memes Gone Wrong for being a great ally and deploying in such a way to help protect our artillery. That's teamwork. Thank you to Kaiser Hayden and Olympus for a fun battle. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you want to find me on YouTube, my name is Good Talk Gaming. My name is Brett. I'm at 99 subs right now. I'm trying to get to that 100 sub goal. I'm working on basically doing streams during the day. I've got a nice setup now. I've ordered a green screen, and I've just got a few things left to put together. And then I'll be streaming. Hopefully streaming some Total War Warhammer 2 stuff. Hopefully streaming. I'd like to do some XCOM if you guys are into that. I like to do some Darkest Dungeon. That's another one of my favorite games. And open to suggestions. So if you're finding me on YouTube and you'd like to watch me stream in a more casual environment where I don't have to be fast talking and I can take my time, go over strategies. I'm all about strategy games. And if that's something you're into, I hope you consider checking me out. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope to bring you in on the next one. I have another one coming up where I think I play as a Lariel, and it was a super fun game, a bit corner campy, but very, very fun. So guys, that's it for me. I will see you in the next one. Take care.